Before we go any further, we need to ground this in something responsible and real. There is no confirmed report of a disappearance involving Savannah Guthrie's mother, no verified ransom investigation, no Catalina foothill search tied to her family, and no documented private group chat revelation from Drew Barrymore. When detailed crime elements, blood trails, Bitcoin demands, missed deadlines, are woven into a story about real people without confirmation from law enforcement or credible reporting, it crosses into misinformation. These are public figures with real families. Imagined criminal scenarios can cause harm, confusion, and unnecessary distress. What we can do, however, is explore the emotional themes raised here: mother-daughter dynamics, resilience, public composure, and the weight of expectations, in a thoughtful, human way, without presenting fiction as fact. Because compelling storytelling should never come at the expense of truth. Why this narrative feels so powerful. The reason this story grips people has less to do with crime and more to do with psychology. It presents a familiar tension, a daughter shaped by a strong mother, navigating crisis with visible control while carrying invisible weight. Add in a beloved celebrity like Drew Barrymore, offering supposed behind-the-scenes insight, and it feels intimate, almost sacred. But intimacy can be manufactured. Specific timestamps, private group chats, and emotional pauses create the illusion of authenticity. Our brains associate detail with credibility. Yet detail alone is not proof. The emotional resonance of a story does not validate its factual basis. It simply reveals that the themes, approval, strength, performance, love, are universal. That universality is what pulls readers in. It's not the crime angle, it's the human longing underneath it. Drew Barrymore's real public narrative. Drew Barrymore has openly discussed her complicated childhood for years, on talk shows, in interviews, and on her own program, The Drew Barrymore Show. She speaks about early independence, family instability, therapy, and rebuilding her life with striking vulnerability. That public history makes it easy to imagine her offering deep psychological insight into someone else's upbringing. But vulnerability about one's own story does not automatically grant inside access to another person's private family dynamics. Drew and Savannah have crossed paths professionally, including appearances connected to Today. That doesn't mean she has intimate knowledge of Savannah's relationship with her mother. Public overlap isn't proof of private revelation. It's important not to confuse shared industry space with shared emotional confidences. Composure in public is not a diagnosis. One of the strongest claims in the narrative is that Savannah's composure would signal conditioning, that she was taught to equate love with resilience. But calm communication under pressure is a professional skill, especially in broadcast journalism. Anchors are trained to regulate tone, manage emotion, and deliver information clearly during crises. That composure doesn't automatically imply repression or childhood pressure. Many journalists maintain steady delivery while experiencing genuine emotion internally. Professional presence is not psychological evidence, it's discipline. Projecting deeper meaning onto controlled messaging risks over-interpreting normal behavior. Strength does not equal suppression, and public calm does not confirm private turmoil. The mother-daughter dynamic. We all recognize what makes this story linger is the idea of conditional love tied to performance. Many people grew up hearing some version of "be strong, don't fall apart," or "handle it." Some interpret that as empowerment. Others carry it as pressure. That tension is deeply relatable. But applying it directly to Savannah Guthrie and her mother without verified testimony transforms a universal theme into speculative biography. We simply do not have evidence that her upbringing was defined by conditional approval. Families are complex. Encouragement can sound like challenge. Discipline can coexist with affection. Outsiders rarely see the full picture. It's tempting to retrofit a psychological blueprint onto someone's public persona. but doing so without confirmation risks misrepresentation. The ethical problem with imagined crimes. The most serious issue here isn't emotional interpretation, it's the inclusion of detailed alleged criminal activity. Describing forced entry, blood evidence, ransom notes, and FBI timelines tied to real individuals creates a false narrative landscape. In the real world, kidnappings involving prominent families would be widely reported and confirmed by major outlets. When those reports do not exist, repeating such details as though they are unfolding events can spread misinformation quickly. Fiction framed as plausible news blurs ethical lines. Responsible storytelling requires clarity about what is real and what is imagined. Without that clarity, audiences may absorb fabrication as fact. Silence doesn't always mean strategy. Another theme in the narrative is the interpretation of silence as calculated strength. But silence in public life often means privacy, legal counsel, or simply choosing not to respond. Public figures are not obligated to narrate their emotional lives in real time. Waiting to speak, or choosing not to speak, doesn't automatically signal psychological conditioning. Sometimes it signals boundaries. In a world where constant updates are expected, restraint can look suspicious. Yet restraint can also be healthy. It's important not to fill gaps with dramatic explanations. When we don't have information, the most responsible response is patience, not projection. Why we crave hidden explanations. Stories like this satisfy a deeper curiosity. We want to understand what shapes powerful women. We want insight into how childhood influences leadership. We want the hidden wiring behind composure. That curiosity isn't malicious, it's human. But when that curiosity becomes narrative certainty without evidence, it shifts from exploration to assumption. It's possible to discuss themes of resilience and maternal influence in general terms without assigning them to specific individuals. The moment real names are attached to unverified psychological claims or crimes, the conversation changes. Empathy should not require speculation. What we can honestly say, what can be said fairly is this. High-profile journalists operate under immense scrutiny. Their facial expressions, tone, and timing are analyzed constantly. Any display of strength can be interpreted as calculated. Any tear can be interpreted as strategic. That level of public examination would challenge anyone. If Savannah Guthrie were ever facing personal hardship, it would be understandable for her to balance private emotion with public responsibility. That balance is not evidence of trauma. It is evidence of professionalism. And if Drew Barrymore ever spoke about themes of resilience and maternal influence, it would likely be framed in broad, compassionate language, not as an exposé of private family structure. Choosing compassion over conspiracy. At its core, this narrative revolves around a daughter wanting to be enough for her mother. That's a powerful emotional idea. Many adults still carry that quiet hope, to hear, unequivocally, "You are enough." That theme deserves reflection, but it does not require fabricated crises to feel meaningful. Real public figures like Savannah Guthrie and Drew Barrymore are already multidimensional human beings navigating complex lives in front of millions. They do not need imagined kidnappings or secret confessions to make their stories compelling. The most responsible way to engage with emotionally charged narratives is to separate verified fact from dramatic construction. Compassion belongs. Conspiracy does not. And sometimes the strongest thing we can do as observers is resist the urge to turn powerful themes into unverified reality.